Last class, we worked on felting the exterior of our geodes. I just wanted to show you a few more techniques as I finish one of the sides of my geode. Here, I'm just adding some felt, and then I'll introduce a few more techniques to you. Okay, so one thing I want to talk about today is layering. We talked a little bit about building up areas so that they're 3D. We're going to talk about layering colors now. So I have this nice big black area stuck here. It's still pretty loose. Can felt it in a little more. And I'm going to layer this lighter gray on top to kind of almost create these spider web veins, which I'll show you in a second. So I just took the lighter color and I'm kind of splitting it and laying it over the black. It's gonna give me some really nice contrast in my rock design and create another tone as the two colors are overlapped on top of each other. And wherever I want less texture, I kind of pull away the lighter fibers to reveal more of the black. And then felt around it. So you can kind of see the variation underneath this fiber that it creates in the design. Just gives it a little more depth. So I'm creating some different depths in my piece right now by just felting down one area slightly more while leaving the other area a little more puffy and raised. And it gives me a nice little 3D effect. So you can kind of see it's raised there. I'm gonna felt in an area and show you the difference. So you can kind of see this is what I just felted, and it's much flatter than this little puffed up area here. And then you can layer, like we talked about before, some more colors. Again, I'm kind of splitting the fibers to reveal more of one color underneath. Okay, so once we have our felt done, we're gonna cut it out. Give yourself a little extra around the rim, just so you're not cutting into the felt quite yet, or where you felted rather. So I'm just loosely cutting around the line I drew. So that I have my circle. Gonna get my geode, just here. And I'm just gonna kind of see how it fits right now. So you can see that there's gonna be some areas that are wrinkled that we're gonna have to cut to make flat. So I'm just kind of looking at what areas I'm gonna have to change slightly to fit around this form. Okay, so I know this is going to be a little painful for some of you guys because I know you work hard on these, but you're actually going to cut into your felt circle all the way around, kind of like little pie slices. Don't go all the way into the center. So I am going, I'd say maybe 2 inches in on each cut. And I'm just doing one maybe every 2 inches around the circumference. And it's okay if they're not totally even, but you can see it didn't really mess up my design, but it is gonna make it flex over our half sphere a little easier. So you can see now that we've made the slices, we're gonna kind of fold them as we attach our felt onto the half sphere to create a dome shape. So we're just overlapping each one slightly onto the next. And we'll go all the way around. I'm going to tell you how to adhere it now. Okay, so we have our half of geode and our cut piece of felt. I'm heating up some hot glue. It's really important that you guys don't put the hot glue on the styrofoam because it will melt it. So make sure you put it on the felt. And I'm just putting it in the center to kind of hold down the styrofoam. We're gonna let it get a little cold, not super cold to where it won't stick, but cold enough that it's not gonna let the styrofoam melt. So just wait a few seconds before you stick it, and then try and get it as centered as you can on your styrofoam ball. Okay, it's pretty stuck on there. You want to make sure that you don't stick it too far onto your sphere. So I'm just sticking it basically onto the part that would sit on the table if I had it on the table. So just a tiny bit. You don't want to cover up any of your cuts. Just want it stuck onto the ball just a tiny bit. Okay, now we're going to go around and attach the rest of it. We're going to use a mix of white glue and hot glue for this part, and maybe some of the felt as well. So have all those things on hand. Have a paintbrush and some water in a cup as well. So for this part, I'm going to have you pour out just a little bit of your white glue on your palette. And you're also going to need some of your water. Mine has a little bit of paint in it, so that's why it's colored. And then you just want to mix the white glue thoroughly into the water. I might even add a little more glue. You want kind of this watery paste consistency. There we go. Kind of looks like gravy. And I want you to paint it on to your felt. Try and isolate the pieces you're working on so that it doesn't dry on you as you're working. So I have a pretty good coating. You guys can see, put some more in there. And then I'm gonna fold them up. Decide where I want them to overlap. And I'm going to use the hot glue on the felt to felt connection just to hold it in place. So the white glue and water mixture adheres it to the styrofoam, and the hot glue is going to adhere the felt onto itself. Don't worry about having any overhang right now because we're going to trim that off. But you can see, you can kind of barely tell where the line is, and we're going to go back and cover that up. And we'll do that all the way around the form. So I'll do another one just to show you guys. Get ready with my hot glue. Just a little spot of hot glue. Can barely see it. And I kind of like to hold it in place for a second just to get everything to sit nice and flat. Yeah. If you're really having trouble having it stick, you can use a little bit of hot glue to help you tack onto the styrofoam, but like I said, you don't want to use just the hot glue because it will melt the styrofoam. So again, I put it onto the felt. I wait for a second. Let it get kind of gummy. And then stick it. During the demo in class today, I'm going to show you how to trim off this excess. And we'll talk a little bit more about how to hide some of these little attachment marks and finish up our geode.